This wasn't supposed to happen. The royal brand is in crisis, and the man formerly known as Prince Andrew is now an even bigger toxic liability, if that's possible. But what makes this so scandalous isn't just the unending fallout over his crimes and endless involvement in the Epstein Files. It's what it's revealing about the invincibility of the monarchy itself. Now, the king has recently debranded his own brother in a serious identity wipe. He's stripped him of his titles, his royal status, and now the man known as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor is set to live out his days far from a palace and far from royal life in his final exile, a moss-covered farmhouse called Marsh Farm. And this latest nail in the coffin comes on the heels of his arrest on his 66th birthday. A coincidence? I think not. The charge? Misconduct in public office, and the claims being that he forwarded sensitive government reports and, of course, investment opportunities to Epstein in 2010. This 1,000-year-old institution built on power, prestige, and control is proving they will not be taken down by one man alone, blood or no blood. And watching the royals handle this is what is making this story so worth paying attention to. Now, I gotta be honest, this one is complicated for me because I actually really love the royal family. It's something I got from my parents, and I just have a very deep respect for the Queen and their sense of duty. I want to see what they symbolize endure. But I mean, it's also kind of a nail biter. Like, is the institution collapsing? What's gonna happen? And watching this whole thing unfold, it's not just shocking, it's conflicting. Because you can't talk about Andrew on the one hand with the disgust for what he's done without talking about the royal family on the other hand and everything that they represent, right? I mean, how do we separate the man from the family, the man from the brand? Can we? Should we? And once you start looking at it that way, this becomes something much bigger than one person. And this is something I really think about a lot in my work. And for those of you who are new here, how are you? I'm Sam Ross. I own a brand and marketing agency, and as the creative director, I truly admire the entire brand architecture of the Crown. It is strong, which is why it is so fascinating watching them do whatever it takes to protect that brand. And what we're watching here right now is a perfect example of the dark side of branding, because the same thing that builds power and credibility can also be used to hide behind it. So, just a quick recap. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was really the first big name to come out of the Epstein Files, and it signaled that this thing was big and only gonna get bigger, and boy, has it. I mean, the evidence against this guy couldn't be ignored or denied. There's flight logs showing he traveled to properties, photos of him with Epstein, witnesses placing him at locations where abuse occurred. And of course, there's the now infamous photo of him at that London townhouse, and he's got his arm wrapped around Virginia Giuffre's waist with that creepy Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's kind of like lurking in the background on the side of the picture, watching the whole thing. I mean, what a foreshadowing moment caught on camera, just perfectly capturing everything that is being orchestrated. And his response? Didn't deny it, or fight it, or really even acknowledge the weight of it. And he didn't have to, because not only did the royal brand shield him, it allowed him to go on indulging in his power and his perversions for years. Now, in my last audit, we saw how Deepak Chopra was asking Epstein to bring him girls in Israel in one of his emails, and that Peter Attia had to have had knowledge. But Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was this provider of protection, and he brought the royal shield into the whole situation and covered Epstein. And I wonder if Chopra and Attia would have felt safe enough to participate, or if they'd been so careless themselves if that protection wasn't present. I mean, it seems to me that all these guys are suffering from something I call the invincibility myth. And this is not just about privilege. This is an actual psychological distortion. When you've been protected your entire life from any real consequences, the way Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has, or you're a powerful guru up on the hill like Deepak and Atiya, you really start believing you're actually above the rules and nothing can take you down. But they're not the only ones. The entire monarchy itself is built on this myth. They aren't just a family, they're an untouchable institution that exists above the fray. But lately, it feels like that invincibility is under existential threat. Between the king's health battles, Harry and Meghan running off to California, and Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's disgrace, the master brand is starting to look more vulnerable than invincible. But something tells me they will not be taken down by a spoiled family member like Andrew. Because let's be real, at some point, every major brand has got to deal with a defective product, especially one short-circuiting in delusions of this attitude that, well, I'm beyond reproach. And further proof of his delusion, according to CNN, back in 2008, just, in case you're a little hazy on the details, Epstein pleads guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution. He becomes a registered sex offender. He serves 13 out of 18 months in jail under a work release arrangement, which basically means he gets to leave jail during the day and all he has to do is go back there and sleep. It's ridiculous. But the guy is still a convict. So then fast forward to 2010, Andrew's just hanging out in Central Park with the man, taking a little walk together. And of course, they're photographed. This is the key moment. He is a prince, for God's sake. He's just chilling with a convict out in public. And you don't think maybe someone's gonna take your picture? Or maybe you just don't care because you're entitled. A normal person would have run, stopped taking the guy's calls. But not Andrew. He stays friends with the man. Why? Because when you believe that you are invincible, you don't see consequences as threats. You see them as inconveniences. Oh yeah, and sure, he gets a slap on the wrist from Mummy, and he's forced to resign his UK trade envoy position, but he clearly didn't learn his lesson. At the end of the day, weathering scandals is a tale as old as time with this family. Charles and Diana's divorce, the affair with Camilla, King Edward abdicating the throne for Wallis Simpson. My God, Henry VIII had 2 wives beheaded. The firm are masters at glossing things over or making things disappear altogether. Until Epstein. Then comes the Newsnight interview. Disaster, terrible PR moment and miscalculation by the royal brand. And really the Queen, because let's face it, they don't make a move until the boss okays it, okay? So it's 2019 and he agrees to go on BBC Newsnight thinking he could just clear his name and deny any wrongdoing. Let's clear the air a bit with a little honesty and humility, shall we? And I'm sorry, I just think they genuinely believed that being a prince would make people believe him over documented evidence and the victims. And then what happened during that interview, it was insane. It was an epic fail. He gave answers that were tone deaf and evasive and just awkward. He couldn't remember basic details about his own life, which is really strange when you're allegedly defending yourself to the entire world. But the worst thing of all? He didn't sound sorry. He did not sound at all upset for the girls and the women. He didn't express concern or outrage. It all just felt like a man who's never had to explain himself for a goddamn thing in his life. And then comes the rebrand moment in the interview that launches 1,000 memes. The Pizza Express alibi. In this desperate attempt to use his family, of course, as a human shield, he just tries to swap the predator label for the dedicated dad image, claiming, oh, no, I couldn't have been at the Tramp nightclub with Virginia Giuffre because I was taking my daughter, Princess Beatrice, to a birthday party at Pizza Express in Woking. And we're just supposed to buy it. I don't know. I guess he just thought the dad brand would save him. But the public reaction, Oh, it was instant and it was irreversible. He just became radioactive. Social media erupted, charities cut ties, universities actually removed his name from buildings. This was just this man on camera proving that the institution had protected him so thoroughly, he'd completely lost touch with reality and basic human accountability. And the palace realized it too late too, and what ensued was the acute decision to amputate, sacrificing the one to save the many, the ultimate brand loyalty. So in early 2022, King Charles does something that is unprecedented. He makes what must have been a very personally painful decision that really shocked everyone. He stripped the prince of his royal patronages and military titles, breaking with a centuries-long tradition of protecting their own. And the king, he absolutely did the right thing. He did major damage control. But I mean, come on, you've got to wonder, how much did they actually know? And how long did they know it for? Was Charles's decision made because of his conscience, or because the ship was going down fast and throwing his brother overboard was the only way to save the crown? Maybe it was both. I don't know. Tough call. What do you think it was? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. So the monarchy is playfully referred to as the firm, which you heard me say earlier, because they know their brand identity. It's not just a family. It's a serious business about endurance, tradition, power, and wealth. The crown is about so much more than one individual. And what this raises about the royal brand's integrity is actually very troubling. Because this was never about doing the right thing, standing up for the victims and showing accountability. If it was, they would have thrown Andrew to the wolves ages ago, and maybe, just maybe, used some of that money and power to help the victims. But this was about survival. They protected Andrew right up until the moment he became too much of a threat, and then it was him or them. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene in The Godfather Part 2 when Michael is at the club and he overhears Fredo talking, and he finds out that Fredo has betrayed the family. And in that instant, single moment, he knows what's got to be done to protect the Corleone brand. And he kills his own brother. Very Shakespearean. You know what really pisses me off today about all of this? Yes, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was arrested in February, but not for the crimes he committed against the women and the girls, but for misconduct in public office. And he was released like 11 hours later, so please, it's not like he's ever gonna actually go to jail for any of this. And this move to Marsh Farm and his debranding, I mean, it seems like pretty light punishment considering his role in, oh, I don't know, the biggest cover-up in modern history. I mean, is there a bigger one? I don't think so. And here's the other thing that's outrageous. The Epstein Files aren't really files. We keep calling them that, files, the files, the files. You know what? They're people, a network, an institution designed to protect itself so they could keep on committing these heinous, depraved, perverted crimes and get away with it. Ghislaine Maxwell is the only one sitting in a cell. It's a bullshit country club cell, but I mean, at least she's in jail, while the shield of these huge global brands keeps everyone else in the sunlight and free. And still, not one person has been arrested in America. That is insane. How can that happen? Because the institutions will always protect themselves. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're closing ranks and protecting each other at the expense of the victims. And where is the integrity in any of that? Okay. I just had to get that out of my system. If you love deep dives on brands in crisis, be sure to check out my video on Deepak Chopra and Peter Attia, because I talk about how their brands are collapsing and this crazy thing we all get sucked in by called the halo effect. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.